Hey everybody, this is Perch. Well, comic shops are closing, so you know, please hear me out, all right? Because your first kind of instinct you're going to have is like Perch is talking about comic stores closing. Finally, okay, he's talking about how the business is bad, and then I'm going to say a few things that are going to make you God damn it, he's missing the point. But then I will circle back. Okay, I promise. We're going to land there in the end. So let me read this to you. I think this is Facebook. I don't know where the fuck this is from. Anyway, let's read the tweet or the meta. What the meta? I don't know what the fuck Facebook is calling itself. Anyway, let's go. I can't get into too much detail just yet, but Anyone Comics, as you know it, will no longer exist by the end of the month. Okay, it's November, which means the comic shop is calling it even before Black Friday. Now, Black Friday and post-Thanksgiving sales have never been massive for comic book stores. It doesn't hit us like it does other retailers and other places, but still, there's usually a little bump in sales if you play it right and everything else and fair. And by the way, there is a high expectation that when we get to January, you're going to see a large number of comic shops closing. Well, why is that? Well, for whatever reason, and to be honest, I'm not quite sure why, and I've given this advice at Comic Pro, and when I was on a panel back several years ago, won't tell you the exact year because it will dox me, but anyway, when I've talked about this, I tell shops, don't gear your am I going to make it or not plans by the end of the year, because as mentioned, Black Friday doesn't do a lot for us. Christmas sales don't always do. I mean, depending on where you are, some comic shops, by the way, have different stories, but for the vast majority, summer tends to be a higher sales, watermark than winter. Winter tends to be kind of clear out time for the publishers. It's just not as reliable a time to really gauge whether your shop can stay alive or not. But a lot of comic shops do kind of use that metric of Christmas time. If I don't make a lot of money during the holiday season, I'm going to pack up. It's kind of like that. It's New Year, new me kind of thing, and they just call it. By the way, when did this change where, you start putting up heavy Christmas decorations like right after Halloween? When I was a kid, kind of growing up, the rule was the day after Thanksgiving, you put up the tree and you start doing that. I will tell you, my neighborhood, which, let's see, how do I want to describe this? My neighborhood looks like Times Square. It is early November, and my God, it is like every house is, blinged out like mad for Christmas. And a lot of them got that rolling November 1st, like day after Halloween, lights are going up. I don't know. It's weird to me. And the place I live, shit, this is just gonna get a lot of teasing. Let me put it. Okay, I'll put it this way: the entrance to where I live, the community put a lot of decorations on the gate and other things that were Christmas time, November 1st. So they're all in. It sounds douchey. Look, guys, I've heard the other videos. No, I'm not a billionaire. That's ridiculous. Not even remotely close to that. God willing. But no. But no. Anyway. Besides, when you live in Texas, compared to Seattle, I mean, my home value in Seattle, was overpriced. I could have bought 3 homes in Texas for that Seattle price. That is not a brag. That is a Christ. Seattle is too expensive. Anyway. All right. We'll keep going to this mail. It says, everyone who put off visiting, everyone who invisibly supported, and everyone who hasn't been here in a while, you are out of time. You have till the end of the month. We are stacking it with events to take advantage of the space while we still have it. 24-hour comics will be on the 25th. We have a town hall meeting this Saturday, followed by after party at Branch OFC. We are hosting a Marvel Multiverse this Sunday. We're planning on doing more, and then nothing ever again. Thanks to everyone who made it possible. I'll see you soon. And obviously, we have a closing sale for the Vultures who want to pick at their bones. It's Black Friday sale, but for more days. Okay. So that's the call out here of a comic shop that is dying. And like I said, you know, if you're looking to get some great sales on back issues, the going out and shopping between Christmas and New Year's at some comic shops, chances are, if you live in a big city, one or more of those shops is closing its doors forever this year. They cannot see a path forward to remain viable in the years to follow. So what do we make about all this? Well, here's the part that probably makes some of you mad. Believe it or not, less has to do with the content in the comics, meaning, as a lot of other channels say, the woke shit. That's less of the reason why these shops are closing. Much less. It's tempting to say that's the big reason, and you can certainly go down the path of saying, hey, if all these comics were bangers, then everything would be fine. But if you play it out, and the majority of these comics were selling north of 75,000 copies, this industry, the brick and mortar comic retail industry, would still not be healthy. The challenge we have here is a number of different factors. One, if you're a retailer, costs have gone up. Inflation has been rough. A lot of the mini chains and some of these areas, some of these business owners are taking price right now because they are also feeling the pinch through COVID, through inflation. They're trying to kind of pay out their debts. What you might not know is a lot of strip malls, like small areas, particularly where comic stores go, a lot of the owners of those took out pretty heavy debt and loans through COVID because the stores weren't open. There was rent forgiveness in a lot of cases. And so a lot of loans were made. Well, guess what? Those loans are coming due now. So a lot of those business owners are jacking up rent, and that forgiveness is over. And that's pretty big problem. It's a major problem. And utilities are up. A lot of the cost of living has gone up, and the uncertainty of what's going on with comics has risen. Comic prices have grown. Shoppers have gone down. A lot of comic shops have been slow to pivot to tabletop games, and tabletop games is a very different business model. So if you've been used to selling comics for a long period of time, you probably have effed that up a little bit by not knowing exactly how to take advantage of that game's market. So all of these factors mean it's harder to run a business than it was, say, 10, 15 years ago. Forgetting about the content in the comics entirely, it's just harder. I say this again, even if all the comics were bangers, you're still, relying on your existing customers coming into a shop that's increasingly hard to afford with product, meaning the comics, they're selling at a higher price, and your margin has been squeezed. Shipping is up. All of these factors are a problem. So the reason why a lot of these comic shops are going out of business have absolutely nothing to do with if Tom King is a shitty writer or not. Again, that flies in the face because to a lot of people, business fundamentals are, hey, if somebody just writes a good goddamn 90s comic, it's going to sell 500,000 copies and everything will be good. Well, not really, because the newsstand is gone, the distribution channel has been decimated, the costs are up, and there's been no real replenishment of customers. Yeah, you've heard the big two talk all about, hey, we're doing these things and we need to do it to attract new customers. Sounds like a great idea, except they didn't attract the new customers. All of these changes, all different Marvel, the DCUs, all of these different things that were going to attract this mythical new audience that was really important for us to attract, didn't. That's one thing that when you get into an argument about people with comics online, they don't normally talk about this stuff, which is, hey, that business plan, the business plan to get the new readers, because all the old readers are dying and old and shitty, that plan to get the new readers failed. Failed. They didn't come. Now, we can, it's a subjective opinion to say, well, we wrote really great comics and they should have come. Sure, why not? Let's assume all those comics, again, were amazing. All these new characters are good. All these plots were great. The relaunchers, everything perfect. They didn't come. And so now you have a dwindling audience because your plan to attract new readers failed. Somebody's got to tell you. So Comics Dad is going to tell you, you failed. So now what do? Well, now you got a hard appeal to the the existing audience. The existing audience kind of pissed that you forgot about them while you're appealing to the new audience. So now you got a problem, which is kind of a long-winded way of saying I said that you might be pissed, you might disagree, and then you'd come back around. Hopefully you listen to the end. This is where, it does come back to the content. And the content in this case needs to attract either old readers or new readers, or ideally both, but at least one of those. And so, unfortunately, it's very sad what's happening to this, Anyone Comics, and it's going to happen a lot more. So what's got to change? Retail prices have to come under control, business has to operate properly, and the content needs to be positioned, priced, and sold better than it has been. Other than that, sorry to hear about Anyone Comics. If you know this shop, go pick yourself up a hell of a deal, apparently. Otherwise, thanks for listening.